This is the Sony WH-1000XM3. I've been using it for almost 2 years now, so I know it very, very well. And after you watch this video, you'll know everything about it too, from the sound quality, noise cancellation, transparency, all the extra features, and the not so good things as well. You ready? Well, let's start with noise cancelling. The Sonys have the best noise cancelling on every device I've tested so far. I'm talking headphones, earbuds, everything. My friends are always impressed when I let them try the Sonys because they haven't experienced noise cancelling so good either. Some aren't impressed at all though, and these are my friends that don't really know tech like that, and they just think that the Sonys aren't all that because they can still hear some noise. They expect to put the headphones on and not hear a single thing at all, but this isn't the case with any headphones at all, and noise cancelling technology is just not there yet. But it is great and it is the best on the Sonys in my experience and at the time of making this video. As far as transparency goes, on the other hand, I've had better. It's nice that Sonys have the feature, but things don't get so loud. Your surroundings go from sounding actually real to sounding like you're just listening to it with decent microphones, which you actually are, like with all the other headphones that do this. But with the Sonys, it works, but it's not the best.
I mean, hear them for yourself. I'm talking to you through the microphones right now, and this is how they sound. Now, a lot of people say a lot of bad things about the microphones on the Sonys, and to be honest, they don't sound so good. But people I talk to on the phone don't really complain. Well, let's say I was talking to you. Would you complain? How does it sound to you? Let me know in the comment section below.
Anyways, another issue with transparency on ambient sound 20, maybe even on all the ambient levels, is that a loud sound can mess with the microphones for a second. Or actually about 2 or 3 seconds actually. Because when the microphones hear quick loud sounds like closing something hard or a loud clap, they just cut off for about 3 seconds or so. And you just hear nothing. And then it just fixes itself and go back to normal and act like nothing ever happened. And it doesn't really happen so consistently, to be honest. Like, it's not every clap that would trigger it, but it's pretty weird and noticeable when it does happen. But it does happen pretty rarely as well. Like, I wouldn't say it's much of a big deal at all in the real world. In fact, I've used it for almost 2 years and I feel like I'm nitpicking by bringing it up. But I just want you to know everything, Now, another cool feature in the transparency category that I don't actually use so much is being able to turn on transparency but only have it focus on voice. That means it should technically act like noise cancelling is still completely on and it should be blocking out all the noise but should let actual voices pass through for you to hear clearly. Now, in real life, that's not actually how it works. Like, if I give you the headphones to wear and then just turn the mode on, then you can definitely tell when noise cancelling is off. When you listen to me talk though, then you can hear that it is kind of focusing on my voice compared to the normal regular full transparency, which sounds like this instead. You turn it back on and you can hear my voice more prominently and you lose a lot of that surrounding sound, but it does sound kind of teeny and not so nice sounding. You can really tell when you take the headphones off and just listen with your normal ears, Noise cancelling. Anyways, another thing I love about the transparency mode of the Sonys is a simple way to activate it. Like, you have noise cancelling on and everything, and then you just put your hand up there and put it over the right ear cup, and the music volume would drop a good amount, and the Sonys will switch to ambient level 20, aka full transparency mode, and then you can just hear your surroundings almost immediately. You take it off, then back to music, put it on, surroundings, take it off, music, put it on, surroundings again, take it off again, surroundings, music, surroundings, music, surrounding music. Well, you get the point. Basically, they work very, very well, almost instantly, and they work very seamlessly, even almost 2 years later. Now, speaking of, as far as seamlessness goes, as in fit, comfort, and everything in that category, the Sonys are pretty good. Well, pretty good for headphones. They're made from decently premium materials that are comfortable as well, and they're padded really well with this soft leather looking material, which isn't high maintenance like real leather, by the way, but it does feel really comfortable, just like leather. Well, sort of like leather. Still though, you're not gonna wanna lay on the bed with them because it's gonna hurt your ears and your neck as well, unless you adjust the position and stay on your back or something, That's when it gets comfortable. But to be honest, it's not a big deal in real life, and I don't hold it against the Sonys too much because just about all the over-ear headphones have the same exact problem, The Bose 700s actually don't though, in my experience at least. I don't know why my neck doesn't hurt with them, but I know my ears don't hurt with them because there's a lot of space in there and my ears don't make contact with the inside of the headphones. With the Sonys, that's exactly what happens. Maybe I have big ears or something, but whenever I put on the Sonys, my ears are always slightly in contact with the inside of the headphones. It's hard to notice at first, but after a couple hours, I can really notice it. It's much worse when laying down on your side, like I already said, but after wearing them for a long while, like hours and hours, they get slightly uncomfortable. It's actually more of a problem for other people than it is for me. So my ears can't be that big because I can use them to game for long periods of time and still have no problem. Well, not really. I've only really felt properly uncomfortable with the Sonys when I was on a very long road trip, and that's like about 18 hours of more or less non-stop use. The Sonys are also not the headphones you want to use for working out. Like, I don't know if you want to use any overhead headphones for working out, to be honest, but with the Sonys, I really recommend you actually don't do it. See, this is my second pair of Sony headphones. You want to know what happened to my first? Well, I was just working out, playing some soccer while listening to some music, messing around with the ball, just working up a sweat, and all of a sudden, the music just stopped playing. And then the Sonys were turned off, and I tried, and it didn't want to come back on. See, this actually wasn't the first time it happened, so I actually wasn't really worried. All I needed to do was leave it to dry off, because my theory is that it's the sweat and maybe the heat causing it. So when I dry it off and let it cool for a bit, it normally comes back on. Like, that's what it normally does. This time though, they never came on again. I had to get a replacement pair, which is this one right here. And since then, I never really try to work out with the Sonys again, and I try my best not to get sweat on them. You can't completely not get sweat on them though, even if you decide not to work out or do much of any physical activity really. See, when you use them for a long amount of time, your ears just get hot. Maybe not hot, but pretty warm enough to get your ears to start sweating. I mean, to be honest, maybe it's just me, because it really doesn't take so much to get me to start sweating, and my ears don't exactly sweat per se. But when I use the Sonys for a very long while non-stop, like a couple hours, I could just bet my ears will feel moist when I take the Sonys off. It's not uncomfortable for me though. It just feels like when you put them on, they seal and cover your ears very, very well, like almost too well, so there's like no space for your ears to even breathe. In the real world though, and in my experience, it's really not something to worry about. You will notice it, but it's not uncomfortable. If you want to take them off or just wear them on your neck though, they will be uncomfortable. To make them all right, you'll have to open them up and stretch out the extendable thingy all the way to the end, but even then, after you wear it for a while, it kind of feels like it's choking you a bit. I have a thicker neck area though, so it might be different for you, but I don't find them comfortable wearing them anyhow. Even after I adjust them to try to make them more comfortable, it just doesn't work out. There's just something ergonomically wrong about it. Like the Sonys were just not made to be rested in your neck for long periods of time, basically, because it doesn't take too long to feel real uncomfortable. You know what takes a long time though? It takes a heck of a long time for the battery on the Sonys to die. I don't really remember charging my Sonys on any trip of mine. They've always lasted me the whole trip. Sometimes that's even up to 2 days of travel time. If I did charge the Sonys though on any of these trips, I must have done it for like 5 to 10 minutes or so, like a very small amount of time that's very easy to forget, because I've basically forgotten. But the thing that's great about the Sonys as well is that even that small amount of charge time, I mean like just 5 minutes, will give you hours and hours of battery life. I was pretty impressed with the battery life, and I was also curious to see exactly how fast it charges, so I ran a test for myself, and for you of course. I charged it for 5 minutes, and it gave me an extra 10% of charge. Now I thought that was already pretty cool, but then I was curious to see how long it would take for me to use up that whole 10%, right? So I listened to music non-stop with the volume on max, with noise cancelling on maximum, and it took me about 2 hours to lose the 10% again. That's crazy. Sony only tells you the battery percentage in certain increments though. Like they say 10%, 20%, 30%, but not like 32% or anything. So there's that to take into account. But the battery life of the Sonys in general is very, very, very good. The best on any headphones I've tested. That's not the best thing about the Sonys though, in my opinion at least, because battery life's not the reason I use them so much. The best thing about the Sonys, or rather my favorite thing about the Sonys, and the main reason I put them in my head every single time that I do, is the sound quality. Whenever I really want to enjoy what I'm listening to, I'm talking podcasts, YouTube videos, music, the Sonys are my go-to listening device, especially when it comes to music, because I'm a big fan of bass. And if you like bass, then you like the Sonys. They have just about the best sound quality of any device I've tested, and I'm sure the great noise cancelling helps it here too. I found that some other headphones can't match the sound quality of the Sonys though. Some headphones like the Bose QC35 Mark IIs sound very, very good, just about as good as the Sonys. Surprisingly, the Bose 700s don't sound close to as good though, which is crazy because they're the successor to the Bose QC35 Mark IIs, but it just don't sound good. What sets the Sonys apart though, and the reason I personally use the Sonys over all my other options, is because unlike Bose or most other companies, Sony gives you great sound quality out the box, and then it gives you a bunch of more settings to customize your sound experience and take it to the next level. Inbuilt equalizer settings are always nice to have. Now me, I love bass, so I like to crank mine up a bit. Not too much though, because the Sonys already have pretty good bass out the box, and I also feel like for some songs, turning the bass all the way makes it sound kind of muddy and not as nice. So I'll only turn up mine a little bit because that's what I like for me. Now you might not like bass so much, and to be honest, you're missing out. But hey, that's you, and you can always reduce the bass if you really want to, even all the way down. Don't do that though, because that's weird. But you can also increase the trebles of the mids if you want to as well, but I actually never really do this. But there's some songs though, or movies or YouTube videos or whatever, that are just not loud enough for my taste. And when I run into media like that with other headphones, I'll just have to deal with it, I guess. But with the Sonys, I'll just increase basically everything to the max, and boom, I can enjoy it just like any other content and have it as loud as I want. If you try this with some songs already loud enough though, it kind of does something weird. It's like you're actually not meant to be doing it, and when you take the volume to somewhere around 80%, it sounds just like it's on the normal max volume with the EQ settings messed with, but you increase the volume a tiny bit more, like when you get to 81% all the way to 100%, the volume actually reduces at first. Like it has to adjust, and then it takes a couple seconds, like 5 whole seconds, which is actually a long time, and then it gets louder than the previous max. But then sometimes with some songs, quite a bit of songs actually, you can hear the hardware of the Sonys being pushed past what they can handle, especially with the bass. Like when you mess with the EQ settings like this and the bass hits, it starts screeching. Like instead of it goes Just like that. It's not nice sounding at all. So yeah, I know you're probably not gonna be increasing the EQ settings to the max like me, but if you do, you definitely shouldn't do it with songs that don't need it. See, I don't even do this too much, by the way. I only know about it because sometimes I forget to change the settings back after I've been listening to like low sounding music or podcasts or whatever. But apart from these things though, the Sonys also give you some extra features. The most eye-catching and noteworthy one is 360 audio. Now most people haven't really experienced the vision of true and real 360 audio, and you're probably one of those people that haven't. But let me tell you the premise of 360 audio, or what it's trying to achieve. The way Sony puts it, it's supposed to sound like you're in the actual studio with the artist, with the sound and the bass and the beats coming from all around you. It's supposed to be real immersive and impressive. But in actuality, the execution isn't as good and consistent as the promise on paper. See, you can only use 360 sound with 3 music apps at the moment: Tidal, Deezer, and Nugs.net. Now I tried it with Tidal and it really didn't deliver. There aren't a lot of songs that actually have 360 sound support in the first place, not just on Tidal, but in general. It isn't just common technology yet. I tried the 360 audio songs that were available on Tidal though, and they sound weird, very weird. Pretty bad if you ask me. You can tell it's trying to do something, but it definitely isn't doing it right. Like they almost kind of hurt your ears. When I tried the supported songs on Deezer though, the other compatible app, things on a lot of songs sounded much better and much cooler. It actually does sound like the sound is coming from all around me. It doesn't fool me into feeling like I'm in a studio though, but it's very cool and works very well. You really lose a sense of space and you hear sound from everywhere, like left, right, top left, all around you. But it only works in the right app and with the right song though. Something that works all the time and very well though is the sound environment presets Sony give you. Believe it or not, it actually does a pretty good job at replicating different environments, from concert halls to outdoor stages to clubs to arenas, etc. They actually sound pretty good and believable too. Same thing goes for the sound position presets. Like they work pretty well too, and they can really move the sound all around you to the position you pick. Not like 360 audio though, just to the specific position you pick. But when you try this and see how well it actually works, I actually wouldn't bet against 360 audio being an actual proper feature to rely on in the future. But anyways, even without it, the Sonys are great headphones. From noise cancelling to sound quality to battery life, they're basically at the top of every category compared to their competitors. And then they also give you some nice extra features as well to top it off. Some don't work as well as others though. The worst thing about the Sonys, in my experience, after using them for almost 2 years, is that you can only connect them to one device at a time. Now, this isn't a big deal or anything because many other headphones do this, but with other headphones, you can at least like force reconnect. Like if you're using your iPad, you want to switch to your phone, you can just connect on your phone and then to take off your iPad and you'll be connected. But with the Sonys, you have to power them off all the way,
power off,
and then all the way on again.
power on,
And then leave your hand on the on switch for a couple more seconds for it to enter pairing mode.
Bluetooth pairing,
And then you can connect your device. That's pretty annoying. And even if you're quick, it can take like 20 seconds at least to get this done, just to switch from a device to another device. It's pretty annoying. But even with that, the Sonys are still the best headphones I've ever used. And they're still the best headphones you can get right now, even almost 2 years later. That's crazy. Now, is there anything you wanted to know that I didn't cover? You have any opinions or any questions for me? Let me know in the comment section below and I'll get back to you, okay? Thanks for watching.